Good morning, Cardbinis. RJ back with another video. Let's get to it. Today's random Mike Schmidt item of the day. Got two things to show off. Pick this up. It is a poster, so to speak, of Mr. Schmidt, when in fact, all it is a page out of an issue of Topps magazine. You can see here, there's the actual text on the back, so it was actually pulled out of a Topps magazine, but it's a really cool image of Mr. Schmidt. No creases or crinkles or dents or tears, so I thought that was kind of cool. And similarly, I picked up this one as well. It's almost a really good picture, except Jose Canseco got on here. At the time, I'm sure we all thought Jose was destined for the Hall of Fame, but we learned better. But we have Stan Musial, Hank Aaron, Mike Schmidt, and Jose Canseco, 40 years of Topps baseball. Jose was the star of the day. Mike was recently retired, winding down his career. And Aaron and Musial were all-time greats. Probably they had a contract with Topps at the time, which is why they got on the cover. You know, 4 decades of greatness. Stan, the man from the 50s, Aaron from the 60s, Mike Schmidt from the 70s, and Jose from the 80s. So 4 decades of Topps. That is my random Mike Schmidt item of the day. Today's random baseball item of the day, showing off some more stupid things the kids get me for birthdays and Christmas and whatnot. Since I'm a Phillies fan, they buy me things dedicated to the Phillies, and I hold on to them because I do try my best to collect everything Phillies, and I will never ever throw out anything with the Phillies logo on it if I can help it. So we have your basic foam bottle holder, bottle cozy, and can cozy. I think this one might have been purchased, but this one looked like a free giveaway at the stadium from they got T-Mobile on the back, so that was probably a freebie at the stadium. It's got a little holographic sticker on it. That's nice. And this one might have been purchased somewhere. I don't know. Don't care. They're both cool Phillies items that are in my collection. Why? Because I keep everything Phillies related. What can I tell you? All right. Today's trivia question. Prize is a nice Chipper Jones insert. It's an insert from an early Upper Deck release. I believe this is 1995, either 95 or 96, but it's Chipper Jones from the Atlanta Braves, Hall of Famer. The game face card. You can see here the number on the back is GF7, so it's 7th out of a set. I'm not sure how many cards were in the set, but this is the Chipper Jones version. That'll be your prize if you can answer this question. The A's, the Oakland A's of the late 60s and early 70s were a great team. They won 3 straight World Series, to tell you how great they were, but they were always in the hunt. Back in those days, they had an eccentric owner named Charlie Finley. He's the one who went with the really garish yellow and green colors for the team. And he was just one of those eccentric businessmen who did a lot of crazy, zany things. Just had a lot of fun doing it. And one of the things he did was he got himself a mascot. Now, it wasn't a stuffed suit mascot like we see today, you know, the Phillie Phanatic or Mr. Met, or even, what people consider the original stuffed mascot suit, the San Diego Chicken. It was a real animal. So for those Oakland A's teams, what kind of animal was Charlie Finley's mascot for the A's? And what did he name it? So that's your question. Send me an email with the correct answer. I will include my email in the description below, along with a repeat of that question. You'll have today and tomorrow to answer. We will pick a winner on Sunday, and you could win this great Chipper Jones card. So good luck on that, all right? Today, it is large set or standard set Friday, and we're going to show off the 1975 Topps set. Now, 1975 is a set I do not like personally. I don't like the random color scheme that they chose to impart Different colors all over the place, even within the same team. The color scheme varies. It just drives me insane. I'm not a fan. I'm not. But it's a great set. It's got a lot of great cards in it, a lot of interesting things. So let's take a look at the 1975 top set. So some standard cards. Your standard, there's not a lot of action shots, most of the pose things. So your pictures for a lot of times are like this Jim Longboard card, a fake follow through. Sometimes they're holding the glove up like they're about to do a delivery. Most of your player cards are either, standard poses with the bat or the glove, or a lot of them are just random headshots like Buzz Capra. So, not a lot of thought went into the images. This was still way before Donruss and Fleer got into the game, certainly way before Upper Deck turned the collecting world on its ear and action shots became the norm and something desirable. Topps still had the monopoly. Topps still just did some basic things for their cards. All right, so that is what your cards looked like. Like Topps will do, they had your first series of cards, depending upon the year. In this case, 7 were the highlights. So naturally, if you're in 1975, you're looking back at 1974. The singular highlight was Hank Aaron setting the home run mark. So that was card number 1 of the set. 74 highlight. Brock set the modern single season steal record. Bob Gibson recorded his 3,000th strikeout. K-Line joined the 3,000 hit club. Nolan Ryan fanned 300 batters 3 years in a row. Mike Marshall appeared in 106 games, setting the mark for appearances by a pitcher. And then these are the no-hitters from 74. You had Steve Busby, Dick Bozeman, and Nolan Ryan. Interesting how you forget sometimes. You hear about a pitcher throwing a no-hitter. No-hitters are thrown by all kinds of pitchers. Good pitchers, mediocre pitchers, elite pitchers, and pitchers you never heard of. So those are the no-hitters pitched in 1974, and that is your highlight set. All right. As they often did, they also did a look back at the postseason. Where is that set of cards? Oh, I set that aside in the wrong place. I got to find it now. They had postseason cards as well as league leader cards like they always did. So here's your league leader cards. Always the American and National League together. Batting leaders, highest average was Rod Carew and Ralph Garr. Your home run leaders, Dick Allen and Mike Schmidt. Your RBI leaders, Johnny Bench led in RBIs, one of the few times a catcher led the league in RBIs. I'm happy to say Darren Dalton of the Phillies did it as well. You can see this card. I bought this whole set as a whole set, and sometimes the cards are marked up cards. I really was not concerned about that. Didn't bother me a bit. This is my set. I'm happy to have it. Stolen base leader, some guy named Bill North from the Oakland A's, led in the American League, and certainly Lou Brock. Your wins leaders, a lot of people had some big wins. 2 in the American League and had over 25, and 2 in the National League had 20. That's why you got 4 people on here. Good card for Hall of Famers. You got Jim Hunter, Fergie Jenkins, and Joe Niekro all on the same card. That's pretty cool. Or ERA leader, there's Buzz Capra, Jim Hunter. Strikeout leaders, this is an awesome card. You wanted 2 legendary strikeout artists. You got Steve Carlton and Nolan Ryan together. And your saves leaders, Harry Forster and Mike Marshall. I'm not sure if it was, it was saves that they used. Yeah, I guess whoever had this set before me was interested in saying who they had in their set as far as league leaders was concerned, because they really marked up every one of those cards. Don't know why. And then here it is. This is the they have the postseason highlights. as they did in many years. So this was the American League Championship Series, A's over Orioles. The National League Championship Series, Dodgers over Pirates. And the World Series, they did all of the games, game 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. And then, A's do it again. Third straight World Series. Reggie Jackson coming up there with Raleigh fingers. So the Bat Boy got in the picture. So that's another thing. And I was complaining about the color scheme. Well, look at this. These are the highlights. And they use like 3 different color schemes in the postseason highlight cards. And they just randomly threw in a brown and orange one for that one. I don't understand why they did this. Every card almost, they randomly picked a color scheme and just threw it in there. I don't know why. I'm not a fan. One thing they did this year that they didn't always do, it's a random thing to do this, but I guess, because it was, 35, their 35th year, 25th year. Let's see. Yeah, it might have been their 25th year of doing baseball cards. So what they did, 25 years of Topps baseball cards, they put out a subset within the main set of all of the MVPs of the most valuable players of the previous year. And they did this by showing off cards of that era. So back in 1951, the first year they made cards, they showed off the American League and National League MVP. And they did that with every one. So you had your 52 MVPs, 53, 54. What's great about this is you'll get 2 Hall of Famers on one card with this. 55, that's a great one. 56. Here's an awesome one right here. The 57 card. Your most valuable players, you got Mickey Mantle on one side and Hank Aaron on the other. That is a really cool card. If you want to get that PSA slab, that's an awesome card to have. 58, 59, 60. Interesting, Roger Maris went back-to-back, 60, 61. Love the 62 wood grain border cards. 63, 64, 65. Cool 66 with Frank Robinson and Roberto Clemente. Here's 2 Hall of Famers from 67. But again, these guys, for whatever reason, Yaz and Tony and Orlando Cepeda don't rank high in the collecting world. 68. Interesting that 68 were both pitchers in each league, were the MVPs. Killebrew and Covey, 2 members of the 500 Home Run Club on the same card. 70, 71, 72, 73, and 74. Interesting, 74, the 2 MVPs, neither was a Hall of Famer, although people still believe Steve Garvey has a shot. All right. They did have checklist cards, and again, allow me to complain, even the checklist cards, the color schemes varied. I don't know why. Standard checklist cards. They had team cards. Your basic team card. Here's the Phillies, of course. I'm going to show off the Phillies team card. But they also, when I was a kid, collecting cards from the 70s into the 80s, okay? I started in 78, went through 84 was the last year I bought packs. Team cards were phased out in 82. So from 1978, 79, 80, and 81, they issued team cards. And for whatever reason, the Cubs team card was always the floating head. Well, here in 75, it was the other Chicago team. They had the floating head card of the White Sox for some reason. I don't know why, but there it is. So, and lastly, what I want to show off, I like to show off when I show off these full sets, is all the Hall of Famers in the set. So we're going to go through that real quick. Raleigh fingers. Bert Blyleven. These are by number. The early, first to the last. You do have some players, veteran players, winding down their careers on other teams. So you got your Ron Santo on the White Sox. The All-Star logo, as Topps did with the All-Stars from the previous year. In this case, it was a star Down here, American League All-Star third base. Fergie Jenkins was on the Rangers at the time. Dave Winfield, still the Pirates. Here's what I was talking about with the Phillies. Mike Schmidt, check out the color scheme. And here's Jim Lonborg, a completely different color scheme. I don't like it a bit, but it is a classic set. Ted Simmons, Carlton Fisk, also American League All-Star. Willie Stargell, Phil Niekro. Phil Niekro, this is probably in the middle of his career. He went on to pitch into the mid-'80s. And for whatever, actually till the late 80s, Phil was pitching still. He always looked old. I don't know that Phil Niekro ever didn't look old. Maybe when he was 10, he looked young. But other than that, he always looked ancient. Bob Gibson winded down his career. I don't know if he came back in 75. I believe he did. Joe Morgan was a National League All-Star. Interesting, the American League had blue text. The National League had the pink text. Here's another third variation of color for the Phillies. Even the text is different. I don't like it. Just don't. Young-looking Don Sutton. They're the two key rookie cards. These two are beat to heck. So I don't mind just kind of flipping them around. They're already PSA 1s or even authentic if I chose to get them graded. They ran out in the Brett. I do have some SG slab ones I've shown off in the past. Catfish Hunter. Jim Cott had moved on to the White Sox by that time. Johnny Bench. Yaz. Reggie's last year with the A's was 75. Newly minted Hall of Famer Tony Oliva. Jim Palmer. Tom Seaver, still with the Mets. One of the few Willie McCovey cards showing him on the Padres. Nolan Ryan, really badly miscut card there, but hey, it's still a Nolan Ryan card. Perry. Lou Brock. Billy Williams, no longer with the Cubs, now with the A's. He had his long, distinguished career with the Cubs, winding down his career with the A's. Goose Gossage, still with the White Sox this time. Tony Perez. I will show Joe Torre because he had a player card here, even though he's a Hall of Famer as a manager. The team's cards, if you saw them, I showed you the Phillies one, had the manager in the corner. I did not show off the Hall of Fame managers with their team cards. For example, Sparky Anderson was the manager of the A's at the time, but I didn't show off that card, so I'm not showing off this. The Frank Robinson card lists him as a designated hitter, but this was the year he was named to be the manager of the Indians, player manager. So interesting card there. Rod Carew. Some of the other key rookie cards other than Yount and Brett, because they came off with multiplayer cards. You got your Jim Rice and your Gary Carter. Killebrew winding down his career. And here's the first card of Hank Aaron showing him with the Brewers. Notice the announcement that he had been traded to the Brewers was made before they printed the cards, but at the end of the season, so they had time to fix the card. And how did they do it? Just a whole lot of airbrushing. You could see how they took this card and just used the blue airbrush to totally wipe out any evidence that Hank was with the Braves. Hank Aaron, Brewers designated hitter. Stats on the back are all with the Braves. So this is an example of what Topps would do back in the day if they had the time and they were able to. Sometimes they would just put it, if they knew a player was going to be traded or moved, but they didn't know where to, you'd see them put a picture on the card without a cap on. And it'd be a close-up so you couldn't see the jersey. And they just say, they put the team name on there because they knew it was going to happen. Or sometimes they just do it in the second release, the high-numbered sets. High-numbered releases, I should say. So that is the 1975 Topps set, all right? It is 660 cards. Hank Aaron was number 1 with the highlight card. He was also number 660. That's where this card fell in the set. 660 cards, available in packs. Remember, this was also the year of the minis, sold separately in their own packs. If you wanted to get the whole mini set, that's a mountain that'd be interesting to climb. I'm sure there's a few people who have those out there, but for whatever reason, you'd think the minis would be a little bit more expensive because they're rarer. but they just don't carry the premium. It's actually the base cards that are more expensive. If you were to get a PSA 10 mini versus a PSA regular of Robin Yount, it's the regular that costs more. The mini's a little less. So anyway, just wanted to show off a classic set this year, 1975 Topps. Hope you enjoyed that little trip down memory lane. Please consider like, subscribing, commenting, all that jazz. And we'll see you all on Sunday for the trivia recap, all right? Thanks for stopping by. Take care.